I'm sorry, what's that? Because I thought somebody who hasn't posted a video in over a month said something. What's up, guys? I am so sorry that it has been such a long time since I posted a video once again. There's really no excuse for it other than I am just a lazy piece of shit. I do have another video that's already filmed. I filmed it about a month ago with my friend Cameron. After I post this one, I'm gonna get to work finally editing that one. I think you guys will really enjoy it. It was super fun to film. Anyways, today I wanted to do something a little bit different once again. In order for you guys to get to know me a little bit better, I wanted to do a story time. I think this will be another series on my channel. I'll post a story time every so many videos. Basically, it'll just be me telling a story of something that happened in my life that was either sad, crazy, stupid, funny, dumb. That's the same thing. Exciting, lots of more adjectives that may cause you guys to be interested. Anyways, by the time this is posted, I don't know if I'll hit 60K on TikTok quite yet, but if I do, thank you guys so much for 60K on TikTok. And if not, thanks for nothing, guys. No, I'm totally kidding. What else? The story I'm about to tell is about a time where I did drugs and ended up in the hospital and developed a pretty serious disorder afterwards. So although this story is serious, or it was serious at the time that it happened, the way that I'm going to tell it hopefully is going to make you guys laugh, because it is funny in retrospect. Trigger warning, I do talk about drug use, I do talk about mental illness, and I do discuss having verbal and motor tics, so if any of that stuff is triggering for you guys, I would advise you to stop the video and not watch it. I want to avoid having my videos taken down, so I'm not going to refer to the drug directly, but it's a very special kind of plant. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it on YouTube. So throughout the video, I'm going to refer to it as a plant, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, you're probably too young to know what I'm talking about, but you know. That kind of plant. With that being said, let's get right into it. So I think it was my sophomore or junior year in high school. I had very recently started smoking this plant, and I started smoking with a very experienced individual, which some may refer to as a stoner, whatever that means. But I started smoking with him, and it had been totally fun. We would hang out, we'd go to his house, we'd go out places, we'd watch movies. We weren't dating, but we would go on these kind of dates while we were, you know, lifted. And it was a super good time, honestly. And then came a very special night. Him and I went to a drive-in with no intention of smoking said plant, because my parents were really strict and I needed to be home pretty soon. So our plan was just to go watch the movie and he'd take me home. So we get there, he has his car set up with the pillows and the blankets, you know, the way you set it up for a drive-in movie. But as he's setting it up, he turns and accidentally hits me in the face with his elbow. And it hurt bad. So he was like, "Let me pack a bowl. It'll make you feel better." Bowl. Bowl of cereal. His intention was to make the pain go away so I could enjoy the movie. So he proceeds to, and we smoke. It was then that I realized I had only been smoking a certain type of the plant up until that point. You know, some types of the plant make you sleepy, some types of the plant make you really awake. So the one that I had been smoking before had always made me very chill. The one I smoked that night made me feel super awake. It made all the lights super bright. Everything was really pretty. And at this point in my life, I had gone home lifted around my parents before, and it had always been fine. So he drives me home. I'm having a good old time looking at the lights, just enjoying myself. I get home, and that's when the anxiety set in. But I had a plan. I just needed to make it from the front door up the stairs to my room without having any contact with my parents, and everything would be fine. So I go, walk through the front door, try to go up the stairs as fast as possible, get about halfway up before my mom stops me. She turns me around, looks me in my eyes, And God, I don't know what I had done. I don't know what I had done to make her even suspect me. I can only imagine the way I must have walked in the door or walked up the stairs for her to know. I was probably whispering to myself the whole time, speed walking like a white mom on a Monday morning, just talking to myself. We gotta go, we gotta go, we gotta get up the stairs, we gotta get up the stairs. I probably said my whole plan out loud as I was walking up the stairs. She can't know you're high. She can't know you're high. She's gonna know you're high. And we're walking through the door, and we're walking really fast, and we're walking up the stairs. They're gonna know that we're high. No, they're not. Nobody in this household is going to know that we are high on drugs right now. We're walking, we're good, we're walking fast. Alright, we're halfway up the stairs. So she turns me around, looks me in the eyes, and says, "Are you drunk, or are you high?" If I could have picked just one moment to not be a dumbass, it would have been that one. Because I looked this woman that raised me, that gave birth to me, that taught me how to be a good person, looked her in the eyes and just went, God, I can only imagine her disappointment. So after that, she tells me to go to my room. And honestly, at that point, I thought that I was home free. I was in my room, you know, I'm still high, I'm trying to chill. Sorry, lifted. But I'm there, I'm like, man, I just want to go to sleep. Can we do this in the morning? And that's when I hear not only my mom, but my 6'5" military stepfather call me into the living room. So I go down there. Now here's the thing. No one told me when I started smoking that the things that I did while I was high were different. I'd be sitting there rolling my head like this and doing stuff because I guess I would get a really crazy body high, and so music felt awesome. So I'd be chilling all the time in people's cars, just doing this. Nobody ever said anything. So of course they sit me down on the couch and they proceed to start lecturing me, and I'm chilling still. I'm doing this, and of course I tried to give them the whole spiel. It's just a plant, man. It's natural. You guys wouldn't understand. And that's when my stepdad was like, God, you sound like a hippie. Was he wrong, though? And they yelled at me for about 2 hours. It gets towards the end of the 2 hours, and everything starts really hitting me, and I start feeling like my entire life is over in this moment. Because, as I said, they were super strict. In my head, I'm thinking, I'm never going to be able to go anywhere. I'm not going to have a phone. I'm going to be stuck in this house for the next 2 years. And my life is going to be miserable. So that's when the trip got absolutely terrifying. So at that point, I went completely silent. I could not speak anymore. Like, physically, I had thoughts running through my head, but I could not form words. And they were talking to me, they were asking me questions, and I just couldn't talk. And I was still, like, rolling my head, doing all that weird shit, and that's when my stepdad was like, stop. If you don't stop, we're going to take you to the emergency room. Honestly, in my head, I was like, kind of wish y'all would, cause I don't know what the hell's going on. I don't know why I can't speak. Please, for the love of God, take me to the emergency room. So I fall asleep on the couch. Also, it's worth mentioning, when I was smoking in high school, I would be high for 24 hours. I don't know if it was like an illusion. I don't know if I was tricking myself into thinking that I was high for 24 hours, but for 24 hours I would feel high. And again, no one told me that that wasn't normal. Like, all these experiences I had while I was high, I thought that's how everyone felt. I had no idea that it was out of the norm. So I wake up on the couch, still high, still can't talk, and still doing weird ass like motions with my head and stuff. And again, they were like, you need to stop, or we're going to take you to the emergency room. And I think at that point they realized like it was serious, and like I hadn't said a word since the night before. So my mom loads me up in the car and she takes me to the emergency room. And that's when things get really weird. So I start talking, but I start talking like this.
Hello. There's no reason to be scared. Everything's gonna be okay.
So I start talking like a little kid, like in a little kid voice. And I remember feeling super innocent in my head. Almost like I had reverted back to like a kid state. And it was like my personality, like me, who I am or who I was, had taken a back seat. So I was still there, but the personality that was coming out was like a little kid. I felt super pure, I felt super innocent. I can't quite remember if I went to 3 different doctors. From what I remember, I went to the emergency room, and then I went to my pediatrician, and then I went to another hospital. But I do remember for sure I saw my pediatrician, and I was sitting in the doctor's office, and my mom was talking to my pediatrician outside the door, and she was freaking out crying because I had told her in my kid voice before we went into the office,
It's okay, Mom. I want to stay like this. Everything's gonna be okay. I promise.
something along those lines, like super creepy. And so of course she was freaking out, and that's when we went to the real hospital. So I get checked in to a room, and I ended up being in the hospital for, I don't remember exactly how many days, anywhere from 2 to 4, I believe. Also, I forgot to mention, I had started ticking. So like the way someone tics when they have Tourette's, I started doing that. I don't remember exactly when it started, but I started doing stuff like and I would snap, and I would like jerk. There was verbal and motor tics. So it was like stuff like this and I would go,
Ooh! Ah!
stuff like that. I don't know if you guys have seen, there's plenty of TikToks that people have Tourette's or they have like different disorders that make them tick, and that's exactly how mine was. My entire family came to see me at one point, and they were all sitting in the room. At one point they started arguing, and so I'm still in this kid-like state. I would react to everything without thinking about it. Like, I had no filter. So they started arguing, and I went,
That's mean!
or if any of my family members said anything nice to me, instead of like saying thank you or like just being normal, I would go, ooh, because it felt super good. Like, I remember feeling like just, it was happiness, and so I'd go, ooh. I remember an entire group of doctors came and like surrounded the bed that I was laying in, and they just watched me for like 10 minutes just sit there and go like that and tick. And I remember being super frustrated because I was like, why are you guys just staring at me? And I think it was at that point when I decided I didn't want to be a freak. And so I remember it was like the hardest thing I've ever done was regain control of my own mind, because I didn't want to talk like a kid anymore. It felt like lifting a super heavy weight, but with your mind, I had to make myself talk normal again. So I did that, but I was still ticking, so I was still ooh, doing that kind of stuff. So the doctor diagnosed me with a conversion disorder. And that's a very real thing. I learned about it in my psychology classes. There's a lot of different versions of it. My version in particular had to do with the fact that I didn't know how to process my emotions into words properly. So they came out in the form of like verbal and motor tics. So when I felt something good, I'd go, ooh, instead of, verbalizing. And if I didn't like something, if something was stressing me out, I would tick, or I'd go,
That's mean!
like stuff like that. After learning about it in psychology, I came to know that conversion disorders come about typically through trauma. And so what I realized was, because I was high as I got lectured for 2 hours, it sent me on a super bad trip. And so it kind of set off a switch in my brain, which made the conversion disorder like come out of me. And that's why I started ticking and doing all that stuff. So it was literally just a product of me thinking my life was over, and that switch flipping in my brain and going, holy fuck. A little bit more about conversion disorder. So I had a very, very mild case of it. Conversion disorder can be as extreme as someone can go through something very traumatic visually, and as a result of that, they go blind. But there will be nothing wrong with their brain and nothing wrong with their eyes. Like, everything is fine. There's no reason that they should be blind, but it's like their brain literally just doesn't want to see anymore, so they stop seeing. I pretend I do not see it. And it's not necessarily permanent, but that's just like a really extreme example of what conversion disorder can do. So after I got released from the hospital, I had to go back to school, and at that point I was still ticking. And it was in that moment that I decided I didn't want to be a freak. So that is what caused me to force myself to stop ticking. I could just imagine it, being the weird tick girl in school. You have tics? What a loser. And for a while after that, I would still tic occasionally. If I got really, really stressed out or really, really anxious, I would tic. They were a lot more mild though, so I was able to channel it into this one tic. I would do that, or snaps. Snaps were my thing. But it's funny because to this day, if I think about ticking, I'll start ticking. It's happened at work, it's happened when I'm around my friends, and sometimes I just let it happen because it's just easier. But for the most part, I try to control it or just do something that seems normal, like snapping. Of course, I couldn't be normal. I can't just smoke plants and get lifted like the normal kids. But it gave me character. Sorry, Mom. Love you. I hope you guys enjoyed that story, and I will have another video for you guys very soon, I promise. Pinky promise. I pinky promise you guys.
Thanks so much for watching.
No, I'm just kidding. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. And as always, that's it. Editing is a lot of fucking work.